So, hi everybody and welcome back to the C++ tutorial series for absolute beginners, and this is video number 9. And in this video we are talking again about variables. We stopped here where we made an example. You can see it. The example was int my telephone number and semicolon. Let's repeat this very fast. We learned that this int is something like the type, a class, and in our case we will discuss this later. Here it means it's a restriction, and the restriction says what we can put in our variable name, which we have wrote here. And then we learned also the semicolon, which means the compiler, the translator in the background later when we press here the button, will read till this point and then translate this to the machine code and then jumps to the next line. Or I said or also, this one is just a format. The compiler actually doesn't care how this looks. It just reads from this this line till it finds a semicolon, and then it continues with it reading till it finds the next semicolon. But we do this here for us, for readability, so the programmer can read it more easy. That was what we talked about, and let's continue with this talking a little bit more. So what I not talked about this variable is, first let's bring up our example again. So I said you can create a variable like a folder. It's similar to a folder, right? So I get here, I go here, I create a folder, and this time let's say my pictures, my holiday pictures, and I created this folder. And in C++ I can go make it the same. The only problem is I don't know the class or the restriction how I have to do. So because I don't know the restriction now, right, so let's say pictures here in front, it's not true. Just so later we can create this in our own, but this one will be our restriction. And then I just write my holiday day pictures, and then I make a semicolon. But here of course I have an error because this class, this type doesn't exist. And I said this one exists already in C++. It's a primitive. Primitive means it's already included in C++. But this one, which I just wrote there, we have to include. That's why it's not possible right now. So what we are going to talk now is again about this restriction a little bit. I said this one is a class, is a type. We are not talking about that, but we talk about the restriction a little bit. What the restriction means is, I said this one allows us not to put all things here in, right? So I can't put here, for example, photos. I can't put in videos, and I can't put in text. And on my other side, on my example with my folder view, in my, let's see, I have here in my folder view my telephone number. Here I can put all what I want. I can make here new, and then I can make here I don't know, a bitmap that file, a text file, and so on. The question is now, where is this how I know, oh, let's say so, this restriction, where it says what I can put in and what I can put in and what I can't put in, right? This class, where is that? Actually, later we will find these classes, but this class what we have here is a primitive class. You can find this also, but in a very difficult way, let's say this, because normally what you would do in Visual Studio, you right click on it, and then you can go here to peak definition, and with float it works. That's interesting. And then you can, but we will don't understand this now. Don't worry. That looks crazy when I open this up. And you see it's a H file. It has here a lot of things which we have not defined and so on. The important thing which you have to know is that they have also a body where they say what you can put in and what you can't put in. And you should only know, like in the last one, int are full numbers, float a decimal, what is called this point numbers? Don't know. Anyway, we go on. So the next thing is what we talk about again is a little bit about this variable name. I said this is a variable name, but I talk not about this variable name, how to create it. It's very easy. Normally you just think any name which is good, which you think is good, and you take it. But careful. In programming, in general programming, you will see a lot and a lot variable names who looks like this. Let's make it int, for example, and then what many programmers write at start, at least, like this and that. Int x and then a semicolon. X is a variable, right? And you probably know this variable, right? Y, for example, this one. You probably know this also from perhaps from math. They use in a variable math x and y. Very important note here, we don't do this in programming. I repeat, we don't do this, please, in programming. Never do this one. Never, 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 never. Just delete it. But I show you why. I explain you why. The reason for that is, first of all, we need a longer name, which seems, wait a minute, this one is shorter. Why we need a longer name? The point is very simple. It's more descriptive. For example, when I have here int x, you don't know what x is. But when I say int your telephone number, I know this one. Here I want save your telephone number. And here in this one, int my telephone number. Here I want save my telephone number, right? That was one reason why we use not this little letters as variable names. That's very important. And I think you understand this, but let me show you this one more. Oops, not here. With one more time with my folder view. Let me create here fast one more Explorer. Where is that? Let's create this one. Let's jump to my folder, and I make this one. You should know this folder view. Yeah? Now I create a folder and call it X, for example. Right? This is similar, X, and then I make a folder and I call it Y, and I make more folders and I call it Z. This is similar. So the point is not to create this little letters. I want work very fast normally, right? And very fast working means, for example, here I know instantly my holiday pictures, and I click this and I'm in, and then I find here the data where I save my holiday pictures which I need. But when I go, for example, to this folder, and then I see only X, Y, Z, and then said which one of this saved, for example, my holiday pictures, I don't know instantly. I have to think, or I have to open up and check which one is my holiday picture. And this the same goes here in C++ too. They use X, Y, Z, and later you have more problems to understand what this means than doing your real job. Your real job is, for example, just get this variable name and print it out. But later, when you start reading something like int x, int y, wait, what is now my telephone number? Where is my telephone number here? Or where is my whatever you search? Then you don't know it instantly. and then you waste a lot of time just because they named it so crappy with this kind of thing. So just remember, in programming, you will see this a lot of new programmers do, but we will not do this. And there is only small cases where you can do this later, but these cases are well defined. Well defined means you know exactly what they are, and you don't search like I said here, what is this again, what is that again, is this a telephone number, is this a picture, or whatever, what is that? So never do this crap. So the next thing is, what you can see here is, normally in programming, in general programming, they write variable names little, not like me here big. So this is a convention in programming. They write, for example, int my telephone number. Most time they start with a little letter. I don't start with a little letter. And the reason for that is because I use another program, let's say not a programming language. I use this program in another engine, and there are they write all variables big. And you can write the variable names big or small, depends on your needs. But in my case, I will write them all with a capital letter. I mean this with big, with a capital letter. And there is one more point why I write this with a capital letter. The next point is, you will see we will use long names, not short names. For example, again, many programmers say you get the first number and they call int x, my first number, and then say my second number, int x2, for example, is my second number, and that's it for them. And in my case, I will not write this one. We will never write something like that in our programming, and don't start with this one. We will write all time along int my first number, and you see the capital letters I use all time. When we start a new word, we write the first word with a capital letter, and actually that's why I start my variables also with a capital letter, because I write just all words which I use with a capital letter. That's the only reason, but of course you can write this with a lower letter too. Depends like how you like it. But important is, never use something like that. My first number, then we make a semicolon, and then int my second number, or even this one is also not very descriptive, but it's still better than my x in x2. And so anyway, then we go on. So let's stop here and let's see. No, that's not very important. I think that's very good to stop. Just remember this one. I want not make the videos too long, so you can try to understand and train this. Let's train this. So let's create some numbers, and this is an exercise you can make, and try to write just some variables, very easy. Make them very descriptive. One more point perhaps before I stop. When we find a variable name, right? I said it can be long, but it should be a little bit accurate. For example, and you have not to write variable name like this. For example, this. This is my telephone number, and it super cool. So this one is actually also a variable, right? It's very long. I said a long variable is good because it's more descriptive, but in this case we have a problem because there are some words which is important to create perhaps a sentence and so, but not a variable name. For example, this is my telephone number. For example, this end word. It's not very important. This is my telephone number. It's super cool. Yes, you like it. That's very nice. But it's not very interesting to understand that this is your telephone number, that you want to save here your telephone number. And this is my telephone number. You can say we already know when you write here my telephone number that you want in general save here your telephone number. Something like that. And this one you should consider too. So long variable names are normally good, but careful. Just try to come to the point, which means what do you want save here? Here I want just save my telephone number, then write my telephone number. Later all knows it instantly. Just like in folder views, right? When you create here a folder, you write also not a big sentence, you write also not something like XYZ. You find a name which you can remember and know. In this folder you will find, for example, I have here Windows image backup. I know I have here a backup of my Windows, for example, which was already here in this folder, and here my holiday pictures. Instantly when I read this, even if it is longer than this X, I know instantly what it's in. I will save here probably my holiday pictures, something like that. So that's very important. And with that said, I think I stop here. We will still continue a little bit to variables, and one last note perhaps why I'm continue talking a lot of variables. Variables in programming are very, very important. If you understand variables in programming, you will cover more than 40% of programming. But if you understand all of variable variations and use cases, 40% of the programming which we will do are doing something with variables, and I will show you this later in all codes what we do. And that's why to understand variables are very, very, very important. That's why don't go fast, understand this, read about them, understand them well, and later it's easy. Programming becomes easy because we are using variables. They're almost everywhere. You will see it. So that's the last note, and bye.